I'm Laura Meyer, founder and CEO of Envision Horizons, and I'm very excited to have Janvi here from Hue. I'll let you introduce yourself, but we were originally connected as partners through a mutual friend of ours in the industry, and I always love when things come full circle.
Oh
so I'll let you introduce yourself.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. I'm Janvi. I'm the co-founder and CEO at Hue. We are a shoppable video platform that helps brands and retailers to source user-generated video content at scale and then integrate it and deploy it on their D2C channels. So you can kind of think of it like TikTok Shop, but for your own website. So just bringing that content to life and driving conversion for brands. But yeah, it was lovely to meet you guys, and we have a lot of mutual clients, which is always fun to work on together.
Always makes it more fun.
Yeah.
And so what we'll go over today, so earlier this year, Envision Horizons commissioned a AI consumer journey survey. So we're going to touch on some of those results and how that's impacting the current landscape and ecosystem. But we're also going to get into how UGC is really impacting the discoverability. And as we are all trying to figure out how to optimize showing up in various LLMs, how that can be such a giant lever for brands and making sure they show up in the right places and making sure even the creators are positioning the products
100%
correctly.
100%.
And not getting brands in trouble here. So what's happening in the space right now? Consumers are using AI. As of January, in our results, 63% said that they were using it, which was a pretty healthy increase from last year. And they're using it multiple times a week. I feel like I use it multiple times a day. When we had our caviar happy hour, we were even using ChatGPT on how to open the caviar because we had some issues, but it was beneficial in that journey. And it's just going to continue, right? Like there's going to be even more adoption. Hi, come on in. Mm-hmm. Come take a seat on the couch. Please. We're just getting started. Get comfortable. Yeah, grab a water. And what's also interesting in the landscape too is what platforms are being adopted. So ChatGPT was really one of the initial platforms that consumers had confidence in, but Gemini has made massive gains in adoption in the last year and could potentially become a front runner. We'll see. Given that Google already has such loyalty from their consumers, or monopoly, but I didn't say that. And then you look what is happening with Rufus. Walmart is also trying to keep up per usual. And really we can see that growth across the years and across the channels as to where consumers are trusting AI in their journey. And one of the big takeaways is that AI has veto power. So almost 51% of shoppers that are using AI in their journey abandon a cart after AI flagged concerns. Mm-hmm. And so this is where I want to get your hot take, because user generated content and reviews are often where a lot of these concerns are picked up.
Totally.
So I'm curious how at Hue you're thinking about user generated content and how it is really enhancing the visibility within LLMs.
100%. And what we're seeing is that UGC and user reviews are some of the most highly prioritized types of data when it comes to LLMs. Everybody's thinking about their product details and the catalog, but what they're missing is what about the UGC? And that can really either help you dramatically or it could potentially hurt you dramatically. So what we actually do at Hue is we're helping brands to really source UGC that is conversion driving. And a big part of that is, first of all, finding creators who are your audience. So finding the people who would actually resonate with your products and making sure that they're the ones who are the ones producing the content and will speak the best possible representation about your products, and also making sure that they speak to the key benefits and barriers to purchase that might be happening about your product category. And what's, I think, also fascinating is that you just need a more vast amount of content than ever before. We all know this when it comes to the social media platforms, but in AI platforms, customers are making these extremely specific queries. Like, I'm searching for what's an outfit I can wear to the airport that's comfortable, that I can then go walk to the conference, and then I found this Spanx jumpsuit. So I was like, amazing. But it gets really hyper specific, and with UGC, you can make sure that you have content that actually reflects that hyper personalized nature. So you want someone actually speaking to their extremely personal journey of coming to Shoptalk and needing something to wear. So I think that is where there's a huge opportunity for brands, and we'll probably get to this, but we're doing a lot to help make that UGC searchable and AI ready as well.
Excellent. And when you think about the scale of content you need to become optimized for the LLMs, is that scale across multiple platforms? Or is it truly scale of like, let's get 500,000 users talking about our products and the various and vast ways that they utilize our products?
Yeah, one thing that's great is that a lot of the LLMs are actually coming together in terms of identifying a schema, a unified schema that brands can actually use to structure all of this data that then can be read by any LLM. So what we're doing, and it doesn't have to be like you need to make one UGC for ChatGPT and one for Gemini, we actually take all of the metadata related to this video content and we transcribe it. So we have transcripts of the video and we put that into the schema so that any bot that's reading your website is actually able to pull that data in a very structured way. So I would say as long as you're getting your data in the right structure, now you're not just designing for the human, you're also designing for those bots that will set you up for success from a brand perspective.
I do think that's an interesting point though, because we used to design a lot of our copywriting for the algos.
Yep.
And now the new age copywriting is more natural language and almost more human friendly, even though it is for the LLMs.
Exactly, and I think that's where video content and these transcripts really thrives, because the way that people speak about a product in UGC or a video tends to be just way more organic. They're answering those key questions that people are going to be actually prompting into these AI engines. Like, I'm looking for a skincare product for dry skin and I have eczema and I live in a hot climate. And so people are talking in that very natural way when it comes to UGC, which may not always be captured in your product details or other sources of data.
And when you think about the scale of partnering with tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of creators for user-generated content, what is the quality control in making sure that inaccurate information isn't being fed to that LLMs?
Yeah, definitely. We see it as like it's often a quality over quantity game as well. So when it comes to video, we're really helping to curate those creators who actually match what the brand is actually targeting. And there is a huge curation layer on top of that. We actually use AI to also help curate the content. We are able to actually rank videos and score videos based on which ones are actually performing the best and driving the most conversion, so that those videos are getting bumped to the top. But brands always have the ultimate control. So, you know, if something is not brand aligned, like they can always suppress those things or just not move forward with it. But we think that there's going to be a huge opportunity in AI as well to help brands actually identify the organic UGC that's out there. We're actually building a new tool, which is a social listening tool, which like helps brands actually look for content on social channels and scan and identify the things that are most likely going to be strong performers versus having a person. I know at most brands, a person is actually spending hours and hours like trying to dig through that content and watch every second to make sure they didn't mention a competitive brand. That is the type of thing that AI can actually really help with and pull the best possible content.
Yeah, that's amazing. I know anecdotally, even with our own agency here at Envision Horizons, sometimes we'll have clients have a uncharacteristic spike in sales, and we're like combing through TikTok.
Yeah, where'd it come from?
Yeah. And we ask the brand, they don't know, like it's a total mystery.
Yeah, and I will say, like, it is important to have a balance, right? You need to have trustworthiness in the content, and so we find that sometimes it's actually content that has a bit of a hot take or critical angle that does actually convince someone to convert because they can trust that it is real.
Yeah. And so another interesting thing that's happening with discoverability and AI's influence in the consumer journey funnel is brand switching. So almost 80% of AI shoppers have switched a brand due to either recommendations or flags of concern. And we see a really interesting opportunity of potentially riding the coattails of these larger brands that are spending a lot on that upper funnel. But then brands that are really savvy in their AI optimization can come in and conquest and have really impactful influence. And I'm even curious, like with these user generated content, like how is that being part of the discussion points of comparing brands versus another brand? I know that can be a little complicated in the ecosystem.
Yeah,
Are you seeing opportunities there?
I think there completely is. I was actually reading today about a brand that was mentioned by another brand in a competitive article about, hey, us, A versus B.
Yeah.
But then actually the other brand was the one that was recommended by GPT because it was bringing up the article and citing that. And so historically, I think brands in UGC have avoided having creators mention competitive brands, but there may actually be a strategic angle in bringing that into the content and really being clear about like, why did I choose this over the other brand?
Something else.
Yeah. Because otherwise AI is just going to decide for you and use what it has, and you can kind of control that narrative a little bit more.
Yeah. And where we're seeing a lot of use case too of like, oh, I like this brand, what's the cheaper option? In certain categories, or the whole dupe culture that's occurring. And just a sub note here, 30% of these shoppers are even asking for those competitors as a way to just continue to explore, because there is joy that a lot of consumers do get in the researching process or the browsing process of the consumer journey. So for us, this is one of the most interesting and exciting takeaways from the survey that we conducted, which is that almost 51% of those using AI in their discovery are transacting on Amazon. And less than 8% are actually transacting on the brand's website. And then, their retailer website and store are the next 2 and 3 largest channels where these purchases are occurring. But there's a reason why we're investing in developing our own AI visibility tracker within our analytics suite, Meyer Horizons, is so we can start to marry the two together and ensure that the queries that are being, or prompts that are being entered into the LLMs, we're then taking those common requests and building it into the written copy on Amazon.
Totally.
But I'm even curious, like when it comes to prompts for the creators, are they being told like specific use cases or requests so that it can be properly picked up by the LLM?
Yes, 100%. And it's interesting because that was always part of our philosophy from a creator standpoint from the beginning, is almost ask questions and let the creator answer organically of what their opinions are. Like, oh, how did this product feel? Or what was your general result, versus providing a script. But it's so funny because now that feeds in perfectly to how people are thinking about AI visibility. So I know a lot of these trackers, and I'm excited to see what you guys are coming to market with. They help brands understand what are the top prompts that their audience is actually putting in about their category or identifying their brand within those prompts. And so you can actually just take those prompts directly, and we can put that into the brief for a creator to make sure that they're speaking to those important talking points.
Yeah, and similar to what you're doing and feeding the transcripts to the LLM, because we're already managing the legitimacy and the accuracy of the product information on the back end of Amazon, we now have the two-way bridge where we're feeding that information to the LLMs, but then the LLMs are feeding us what prompts we should be optimizing for. So exciting times, we are never complacent here.
Yeah, definitely.
So just to open up some broader discussion, if you are sitting in a brand seat, how are you thinking about developing really strong UGC, and where are you using it? Is it PDPs? Is it blog posts? Is it social ads? Like what's really driving return for brands?
Yeah, it's honestly everywhere. It's using it everywhere. And that's why even in our model, we secure the full usage rights in perpetuity of the content so that any one asset can actually be repurposed across many different channels. So you don't want to just get a video just for your PDP. You want to be able to put it on Amazon. You want to be able to put it in your social, in your paid ads, remix that content. So I would recommend when you're working with creators to try to get that like broad usage and licensing as much as possible, because it really allows you to put that one video to work in so many different ways.
Yeah. And in terms of like the the negotiations for those licensing? I mean, does Hue help with the scalability of that platform or those contracts and such?
Yes, 100%. So we're managing that, and that's kind of like the default that creators are coming in with. So it makes it very simple from a brand's perspective, which is great. I've also seen a lot of brands doing more creative strategies, I would say. So we work with Foot Locker, and they're actually activating their in-store associates as, which they call stripers, as creators themselves. And so the benefit of that is that they already have this amazing group of people who are in store. They have all the items with them. They already know how to
the referee
speak.
shirts.
Yeah, they have a shirt. They know how to speak to the benefits of the product because that's what they're doing every day in store. And so it can actually be a very efficient way to scale up content, is leveraging your employees. It's employee generated content. It's kind of like the word du jour. So that's another strategy, I would say, on just achieving scale for brands and retailers.
Yeah. Add that into the employment agreement.
Yeah, exactly.
So also
your likeness.
content creator, as well as running the cash register. And then I guess, what are some big predictions you have for agentic commerce in, for the next 12 to 24 months? Like, what are you seeing? What have you seen even here at Shoptalk?
Yeah, I mean, I think every brand is focused on AI visibility at this point, so that is probably going to continue to be the number one priority. I will say, I think it is just a matter of time before the LLMs are going to incorporate video directly into the experience in some way. Like everybody, all of those folks are probably thinking about, hey, we know that from a shopping perspective, it's not only a query-based approach, but it's an entertainment-based approach. And so, we're trying to position ourselves to be ready for that wave as well. I mean, it would be so natural if you're asking the LLM for, hey, I want like a swimsuit for the summertime and this size, like to surface a video that shows a creator and shows that exact product. So we think that that's coming as well in the next 12 months. Yeah.
That's very exciting. And I'll be curious if their new ad products will also incorporate video.
I mean, I wouldn't be surprised. So
that's where the big dollars are.
Yeah.
Are there any questions from the audience related to UGC, AI, discoverability? End of conference here. Stumbling over my words. Who here is using UGC a lot in your campaigns, or is it more professional photo shoots and staying within the creative director's vision, maybe?
Yep. We are a founder-led company.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We've tried to kind of sell UGC to our creative leaders, but it has never been approved. What you mentioned about Foot Locker is interesting because we do have also associates that have created viral videos that are on TikTok, really help drive products and made products viral. So it's interesting when you mentioned it, and I was checking them out on the site.
Yeah.
You guys have the case study. So interesting.
Yeah, we definitely push the UGC from associates, quite frankly, more than shoppers, influencers, things like that.
Yeah.
Because for some reason they have such a following and they just take off. And
Yeah.
sometimes for certain products we'll go to certain associates specifically that we know have had that success. So good to see Foot Locker's doing that too, and it works for some brands.
Yeah, I think there's an opportunity to, amplify that even more. Like now they're, with Foot Locker, it's like we're in a cycle where they have like 50 to 100 videos produced, monthly, like with the associates. So it can just be scaled out even more. It's awesome to see like the organic piece, but it is really helpful for kind of brand focused brands who need to protect that kind of brand knowledge, but having folks who already know how to speak to the product, speak to the brand voice, are in the store. It looks beautiful. So yeah, that's amazing. Yeah, super cool.
And they have the newest collections right there in stores.
Yeah, exactly. It's very efficient. Like you don't have to ship a product. You don't have to, pay extra. It's like they're there already. Yeah, it's awesome. Very cool.
Really well.
Awesome. We did just want to share even an example here of how it can really vary from platform to platform too. So as we're really trying to figure out how to help our brands and consumers find either our products or clients' products, asking even these simple queries or prompts, you can see that it can really depend on who's picking up what those algorithms are, And we're even seeing crazy changes from a week-to-week basis. So it's very much the Wild West. Like back in the day, it was always trying to figure out the Amazon A9 algorithm or figuring out the Instagram algorithm to go viral. And anecdotally, even within our business, we had 1 week where we had 14 leads come through ChatGPT for our agency. And then the next week we had 0. And then the next week we had 5. Like, it's very sporadic. And we are scratching our heads just very candidly of, okay, well, how can that be more consistent? And to me, there's a lot of similarities to when brands are trying to figure out how we go viral. Now it feels like there's this, how do we actually show up in the SERP, which is why not the SERP, but the LLMs. And that's why these discoverability platforms are so important, because it really is real time. And where you were showing up 2 days ago, you may not be showing up anymore, just because they're always updating how they're producing the results.
Yeah, I think it's going to be pretty dynamic for the next year or so or to come. Yeah,
decade, potentially.
I worked at Google, in my early career, and you went through that journey with SEO and trying to understand how that was going to be prioritized. But maybe there'll be some more steady trends that shake out over the next 6 to 12 months.
Yeah, I think everyone's trying to figure out the whole black box and have their formula. But there's no question in terms of the top steps to at least set yourself up for success. As you called out, data foundation is so important, and getting that foundation right from the start is going to be key to giving you the head start of that visibility and just the overall infrastructure. And then content. I was at a breakfast this morning where this similar discussion was being had, and the woman on the panel cited that ChatGPT is typically looking at 26 different sources when making their decision. So that's a lot of content for us marketers to be managing, especially with lean teams. Even with AI, it's hard to keep up with it all.
Yeah.
You can just ask Tristan, our head of marketing. Well, awesome. Well, thank you so much for your time today. I mentioned a little bit about our visibility tool that we're launching within Meyer Horizons, but if you would like to download our full AI report, you can either take one of our lovely magazines on the horizon here, or you can scan the QR code. And then what is the best way to get in touch with Hue?
Yeah, we're at poweredbyhue.com. So you can check out all our case studies with Foot Locker. We work with lots of brands across the beauty, wellness, fashion, CPG, food and bev kind of space. Yeah. So feel free to reach out as well. Would love to have a chat.
Amazing. Thank you so much.
Thank you.